fall off the back.
Oh, yeah.
Are you the only one asking me the question?
There's no guide.
Yeah, I wonder why.
But I'm concerned about some people from the graduate student government coming up and questioning us, but I know I don't. Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Student Forum with President Crow. My name is Shaurya Manglik, and on behalf of ASASU, Associated Students of Arizona State University, I would like to welcome you all to the Student Forum with President Crow. Before we get started, I wanted to introduce you to your fellow student body presidents that make up the Council of Presidents. So if you all could come up to the stage.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shanika Mathis, and I am the Downtown Student Body President.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sadr Shaheen. I'm the ASU West Valley Student Body President.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mason DeVico, and I am the ASU Tempe Student Body President.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shaurya Manglik, and I'm the Student Body President for Poly. Thank you. Before we get started, I wanted to go over the format of today's discussion. We will be taking some time to hear from President Crow about some university-wide updates. We will take some time to get to know what's happening in the university, current news, or things you would like to share with everyone. Then we will begin the Q&A portion of the format, where we will ask you questions, and we expect some answers from you. We also have the other presidents who will be sitting on besides our stage, and will go through the questions that are submitted prior to the forum or live via Zoom. So I will start. So because we only have 1 hour with President Crow, we understand that not all questions will be answered live but we will follow up with your questions within 1 week via email. So follow our updates on the ASASU website throughout the school year and our upcoming priorities for the academic year. Thank you, President Crow, for being here. Before we get started on some of the questions we have, can you share some updates you would like everybody to know?
Well, I mean, we're off to a great start for the semester. We have more than 80,000 students here on campus with us from over 160 countries, all 50 states. More students from Arizona in the first year class than we've ever had before, more than 9,000. Really a fantastic opening for the semester. In addition to that, we have almost 100,000 students who will be with us pursuing their degrees online this academic year. So we're very, very excited about that. So all told, the university is not subject to apparently the national discussion, which I don't think is really accurate, that no one's interested in college, no one wants to get a degree, colleges aren't attracting anyone. One, I don't think that's true in general, and two, that's definitely not true at Arizona State University. So we're off to a great start. The university in the last few months has taken great leaps in all kinds of new ventures, new initiatives. We have launched the new Health Observatory as a part of the ASU Health Initiative. We have won a project called the Engines Project. The National Science Foundation has created 10 new national initiatives to lay down track with new science and new technology that lay down the track for new industries in the future. And we won the Engines Project around the idea of sustainability with dozens and dozens of partners. So we're very excited about that. We have won 2 football games in a row. We won 9 Olympic medals from our Sun Devils, 24 of whom competed in the Olympics, one of whom could win almost anything that he ever thought about. Leon Marchand. And so gold medals, world records, and so forth. All good. We're very excited about where we are, where we're headed, what's happening. New buildings are being constructed, new buildings are being opened, new residence halls on the West Valley campus that are open, new buildings here on the Polytechnics campus where we're meeting that are being built, the new Advanced Manufacturing and Network Engineering School, other things that are happening. Tremendous success for our graduates, award-winning graduates, top school for Fulbrights, top school for Marshall scholarships, all the advanced postgraduate scholarships. I mean, all in all, the university is doing fantastically well. Our staff, our faculty are providing unbelievable services. I was just talking with new Chief of Police, John Thompson. I asked how many alcohol arrests there had been in the first couple weeks of the semester, which is always a lesson learning moment for some students. And the answer was quite a bit down from where we've been in the past. And I was very encouraged about that, making better choices and so forth, and being more responsible. Now, don't take great license with that and go out and get arrested for minor in possession. And so just good choices are always useful and important. I think what I would say is that for all of the media intensified projection and internet and social media intensified projection of disunion and disruption and so forth and so on, the people gathered around Arizona State University are in general very positive about the future and putting their life energy into that future in every possible way. So that's very encouraging to me. Since it is election season, and this might be the only time that I have a chance to talk to students between now and the election, no matter who you support, you need to vote. You need to show up and vote. Everything you say is nothing compared to the actual vote. The vote is where you put your rights and privileges as a member of this democracy, you know, in action. Everything else is rhetoric. Everything else is not action. Voting is action. So I just ask all of you to vote. If you don't know how to vote, if you're confused about where you can vote or if you can vote, or you know what state you're a resident of and how that works and so forth and so on, there's all kinds of places to get those questions answered. And if all else fails, you just write me at michael.crow@asu.edu and we'll get you the answer. So a few opening comments.
Thank you, President Crow, for that. To kick off the Q&A portion, we will ask some questions that were submitted before the forum started. If you're joining via Zoom, the question feature of the webinar is on. So if you have any questions during this time, you can type it there and we will answer that. If you're joining us live, please use the QR code to submit your question right now. The first question is from an undergraduate student, Alicia. What do you see as the biggest challenge facing higher education today?
You know, I think the biggest challenge facing higher education today is our ability to evolve quickly enough to be of greater value to not only our students, but to the broader society. So how do we increase our value, increase our impact? How do we become more adaptive to the way that people learn? When you carry in your pocket a machine, I probably query something either through, and if I say Alexa too loud, my phone will start talking to me, through my Alexa or through my phone or through Google or whatever, dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of information requests a day. I have like this walking, talking encyclopedia that's attached to me. I have an ability to determine, like this morning I was trying to determine, because I heard something on the radio about the word mentor. And I didn't realize the origin of the word in Greece, or how it was used in the past in ancient Greece. And so I was going after the origin of the word, like where did it come from and what did it mean and how did it evolve and so forth and so on. When you have, before I'd have to remember that, remember when I got to the library the next time, find the right book when I was growing up in which I could go to the word origin. Maybe it would be possible that I could see different alternative explanations, but probably not. This morning I was looking at like 10 different possible explanations, and then I could use my own discernment to try to determine which was going to be most useful for me. When you live in a world of humans, So I don't have the power to do this, but if I did, I would say that, so who was born after 1996? Anybody in here? Some people? Yeah. So you're not just a Homo sapien. See, I'm just a Homo sapien. So you're a Homo sapien.net. And that means that you have access to computational tools that can answer any question, get you any data, provide for you a historical legacy of any fact pattern. We never had anything like that. And so universities have to, the biggest challenge for us is, how do we evolve and adapt where we're creating these unbelievable learning environments? We're then expressing what we're doing to our students in a way where their learning is greatly enhanced. And then we're taking everything that we have that's available to any learner anywhere, and we're making that available to them also so that they can be connected to advanced learning. That's the challenge.
Thank you so much for that answer. The next question is from an undergraduate student from West Valley. What is the status of the medical school that ASU will have? And another undergraduate student wants to know if it will be only graduate programs out of the medical school.
So the medical school, we have launched a thing called ASU Health, and under the initiative ASU Health, which is led by Dr. Shireen Gabriel, we are building a medical engineering school. It's called a School of Medicine and Advanced Medical Engineering. We're building a technology for public health school. We're expanding the production of nurses from our nursing school and a whole range of other things. The medical school takes about 3 years to design, accredit, and launch. And so there's a long-term accreditation process. So it won't be ready for students at the earliest until 2026. And that's at the earliest. It could be 2027. It sort of depends how this all goes. The medical degree is a graduate degree. The students that graduate from the ASU School of Medicine and Advanced Medical Engineering will receive 2 degrees, an MD degree and a master's degree in medical engineering. You do not have to be an engineer to enter the medical school. You don't have to be trained in engineering to enter the medical school. You could come in as a gifted English major, as a sociology major, as a political science major. You may have to pick up some STEM courses or something through special robots that we would assign to you this summer before you come to the medical school. And I don't know about, any like wires in your head or anything like that, but somehow we got to get you up to technical capability. Then you'll go through the medical school. You'll be AI empowered and AI capable, and then you'll graduate with these 2 degrees. And we think that you will be able to take new kinds of paths beyond what a traditional MD degree can do. And then in terms of undergraduate degrees, right now we're not planning on undergraduate degrees from the medical school, but we are not done thinking about what other degrees we might offer. So we're still thinking about, is there a way to produce a different kind of medical professional or a different kind of medical worker? And so we're still looking at that and thinking about that. And so that's still under consideration. We just submitted our accreditation package, 800 pages, to a group that's acronym is LCME, and they accredit medical schools, and that's the process that takes about 3 years. That was just submitted a few weeks ago. The first visits, I think, occur in the spring of 2025, something like that. And that's sort of where we are in the medical school. The medical school will need a clinical partner, so we're about to announce our clinical partner, where you will work in a hospital as a part of your medical education. But let me then also say that whatever we're doing with ASU Health and whatever we're doing with all the things that we've got going on will be connected to everybody and anybody, meaning we're going to be connected. We're going to continue our connections with the Mayo Clinic and our connections with other institutions along the way. So all of that will continue.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. The next question is a bit long, but it's from a Tempe graduate student. ASU has deals or partnerships with companies like Raytheon and government agencies like the Department of Defense. These groups are explicitly focused on warfare technology. I don't think it's controversial to suggest missiles, guns, and bombs are political tools. Therefore, ASU invests in certain political groups and even promotes their investment or collaboration with them. So my question is twofold. One, is ASU an apolitical education institution? Two, if it's an apolitical education institution, then why are they investing in collaborating with explicitly political groups like Raytheon and the Department of Defense?
Well, I could take some exception to the phraseology of the question, but I won't do that. I'll go to the intent of the question and the questioner, which I think is a fair and legitimate question. So we live in a democratic republic, and the republic operates in a democratic modality in which all objects of the defense of the country are determined by the representatives of the people in that democratic republic. So the way that it works, the nature of the Navy, the nature of the Army, every general in the military of the United States must be confirmed for each star that he or she puts on their uniform by the Senate of the United States. There cannot be a general officer implementing the military strategy of the United States without the consent of the people. The commander-in-chief of the American military is the president of the United States, one of two officers in the entire country elected by the entire country in a general election. And so we participate as our university in an apolitical way. We don't take political positions, we don't take political views, but we do respond to the consensus outcomes and decisions of the government of the United States in this republic. I'll give you an example. So in 1916, the government of the United States decided that they wanted more officers trained for the military in non-professional military academies. So they created a thing called the Reserve Officers Training Corps, and military officers then go to regular colleges and have a little bit of military training and then go into service. Now, in a democracy, it's highly advantageous that not all of the officers go from high school to professional military academies. And so there are hundreds of universities that train military officers. We are one of them. So we have an Army ROTC unit, a Navy ROTC unit, and an Air Force ROTC unit, because the people of the United States, through their elected representatives, created the Reserve Officer Training Corps for universities to add officers. The Raytheon Corporation and the other corporations who are publicly traded, regulated entities with public oversight build, among other things, systems and weapons for the military of the United States and for the interests of the United States. And we, in our training and projects that we work on, we assist in that process. And so the government of the United States that has decided that the defense of the United States and the protection of the United States and our republic and our democratic ideals require defense. We participate in that defense, but we do not take political positions. And so everything is done through the consensus of the people, the process of the people. In the case of all of our work that we do, all of the work that we do is in the open. All of the contracts that we do can be read. All of the work that we do on campus is, again, in the open. On the very, very rare occasion that the university is asked to do things that are secret, those can't be done on campus. They have to be done with a special oversight. There's very, very few of those, almost, I think, none at the moment that I know of. And so everything's in the open. So the other thing about democracy, for it to be successful, is transparency. And so to the root of the question from the questioner, why are we doing these things? Are we taking political positions? We're not taking political positions. We're taking national service positions. We're taking positions in service to the country. And the defense of the country is one part of that national service. So the production of people, ideas, technologies, tools to defend the country, yes, we do all of those things.
Thank you for that answer. The next question is from an undergraduate student, Josie. What measures will be taken to ensure that international students have equal access to internships and job opportunities, both during their studies and after graduation?
So we have more than 15,000 international students, and all international students are guests in the United States under a granted visa, in fact, a special visa status for study in the United States. Along with that visa status comes the right to have a job at the university. And many of our international students have such jobs. I talk to them all the time, and they seem very happy to have jobs on campus. And then international students are eligible for what's called OPT, 2 years of OPT work in the United States after they finish their degree, at which time, either through their employer or through another avenue, they can gain access to a work visa and then become a permanent worker through their work visa, and then work towards permanent residence of the United States or possible citizenship of the United States through a process that's out there. And so what we try to do is we argue very much for OPT training. We argue for employment of students on campus. It didn't used to be the case that international students could even work on campus. They were not permitted to work on campus, and we have helped to ensure that. In terms of job placement, the international students have rights to all of the job placement services, all of the outplacement services. They're not held back from anything whatsoever, and lots of employers come here looking for international students to fill jobs for a couple of years, and then from that to determine which of those students they would like to employ on a more permanent basis and help them to get a work visa. So all in all, it's a pretty effective process. And if you look at the transition of American college graduates who entered the United States as international students who then ultimately got work visas and found a pathway to citizenship, it's the most successful route of all of the routes to citizenship in the United States and how we operate right now.
Great, thank you for that answer. The next question is from Alicia. How is the university managing its financial resources in the face of economic uncertainties? And a question we received from Zoom is, what is ASU doing to reduce the overall cost of earning a degree?
Interesting that you put those two questions together. And so the second question is, what are we doing to reduce cost? That's of course cost to the consumer, to the student, while at the same time needing resources to pay for the university and the faculty. And so what are we doing? We're managing the university very focused, very tight, very significantly capable financial managers, financial experts. And in our financial management, we've done very well. We've built a price structure that we think is fair. We have the lowest price for an undergraduate pathway to a degree in Arizona at a university of any type, public or private. We have our international students have what we call about the average international student tuition in the United States. So we've tried to keep that fair and accessible. We have 75% of our undergraduates on some kind of financial aid or even more than that. We have substantial amounts of resources for financial aid for undergraduate students in particular, particularly students who come from families with limited income, particularly students from Arizona families from very limited income. In terms of the question of how we operate the institution, I hope that the second questioner can listen carefully to this part of the answer. So there's the cost to the student, and then there's the cost to us for the degree. So our cost is much higher than the in-state tuition. So just process that. So if our cost is $19,000 a year, whatever it is, I'll just round it to 20. Let's say our cost is $20,000 a year, and an in-state tuition, rounding it down, is $10,000 a year. That means you have a net loss of $10,000 per year per student. How do you manage all of that? Well, you have different costs, different prices. Out-of-state students, international students for different reasons. And so what we do is we built a university system in which we individualize our interaction with you. Your financial aid package is individual. Your path to success is individual. Our urging you to graduate more quickly is to help you to figure out how to lower your cost. So here's an example. So our cost to a degree is less than 1/2 of the cost to a degree at Rutgers University, the equivalent university to us in the state of New Jersey. The cost to a degree for a student. So how do we do that? We do that because we operate more efficiently, we operate more effectively. We have a lower operating basis, a lower operating cost. We've already built all of that in. The problem with the word cost is that price is what the student is really worried about versus cost. So cost is what we worry about, price is what they worry about. So I'm going to put a concept on the table that is perhaps foreign, but I'm going to try. So what is the market price that Arizona State University could charge for its degrees? Well,
We don't answer.
Yeah.
Okay, 60,000.
so how do you know that it's 60,000?
I looked at other universities while I was applying for ASU.
Right. So for international students, the market price that we could charge is $60,000. Now, we don't charge $60,000. We charge slightly more than half of that $60,000. But the market price is also determined by what is the highest price that a person would be willing to pay to come to this university. So that's substantially higher than the $12,000 in-state tuition. Just process that for a second. And so where we are right now is our average net tuition after financial aid, not including loans, for an in-state student is under $3,000 a year. Okay, well, that's fantastic, almost unbelievable. You know, how do we figure out how to do that? So we are very conscious, to the student's question. We're very conscious of price. We're also very conscious of our costs. We're very conscious of finding a way to make all of that work. We're not like a for-profit university where most of the money for a for-profit university goes into marketing and profit. We have very minimal marketing expenses and no profit. So most of our money goes into instruction. And so it is a very different model overall, and we've worked to balance this out and to make it a very high value purchase. The services that we're offering at the prices that we're offering them return tremendous value to the students over their lifetime. And we make it a very high value. That is, you get a lot for the money that you're investing, as opposed to investing a huge amount where you're not necessarily getting that much for that.
Thank you. The next question is from a Tempe student who is undergraduate. What are your goals for ASU going into this year? How can you provide a safe environment and space for your more marginalized students on campus?
So the goals for the university are the continued application of access to excellence for every student that's here on campus or online. Number one. Number two, that we've created an environment where a student can find a pathway to uniquely enhancing their learning outcomes, not just generically following some prescribed program. So those are the goals. Going to a bowl game in football, that's a goal that I have. So hopefully. And then for what the student referred to as marginalized students, I don't know exactly what they mean by marginalized. So you can be economically marginalized, you can be ethnically marginalized, and we have large numbers of diverse students. About half of our incoming first-year students are not white. We have over 40,000 Pell eligible students who come from families eligible for Pell grants. We have all of that going on. And so what I can say relative to the use, I mean, I'm still processing the word marginalized. Here, you raise your hand and we're going to try to figure out how to help you. So if you feel marginalized, or you feel like you're struggling, or you feel like you're not finding your pathway to success, raise your hand and we're going to help you. And I guarantee you that if you are patient and stick with us, you're going to graduate, you're going to be successful, you're going to get on the path that you wanted to be on, and good things are going to happen for you. But you've got to raise your hand. You've got to ask for help. You've got to see your path forward. You have to put the energy into it to make it work. And you have to listen to people that are trying to help you.
Absolutely, thank you. The next question is from an undergraduate Polytechnic student. What are your future plans of expansion and development for the Polytechnic campus? This is from me.
Well, for the Polytechnic campus, what we're really hoping for is that we turn this into Starfleet headquarters. Some people laugh. So in the Star Trek movies with Chris Pine, he's down in Iowa of all places, and remember he's just crashed his ancestor's 20th century Corvette in the opening of the movie into a rock quarry in Iowa, and he's out drinking in a bar, and he gets into a fight with Starfleet officers, and for some reason I don't know why, the Starfleet spaceships, the Enterprise class ships, the starships, are somehow being built in Iowa, which I find completely impossible to imagine. And so he somehow joins Starfleet, goes to Starfleet headquarters. What we really want for the Polytechnic campus is that we become that place. No. In all seriousness, the goals for the Polytechnic campus is a place where learning by doing, learning by building, learning by teaming, learning by different pathways becomes the culture. What we're after is a different learning culture than perhaps the rest of the university, not that there aren't overlapping elements of it. So the Polytechnic School of the Fulton Schools of Engineering, the new manufacturing school, the other colleges that are here share this as a commonality here. So what we're looking to do is to grow this campus to 15,000 students, to grow the research intensification, to grow this new way of learning, to take full advantage of this great site that we have out here. So our aspirations for the Polytechnic campus remain high, but they are, they're a unique learning environment. We have a new facility in downtown Mesa called the Mix facility, which is focused on digital media. We have a creativity space in downtown Chandler that the Polytechnic campus students can work on to build things and start companies and engineer things and so forth and so on. We've got all this going on. So that's the spirit that we have for this campus.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that answer. The next question we received live is from Evan from the Polytechnic campus. In an ever-changing world of college athletics, how is ASU putting itself in a successful position of having winning successes in Big 12, specifically nil-wise, environment-wise, and faculty-wise?
Say that again. There was one word at the beginning of the question I didn't understand.
In an ever-changing world of college athletics, how is ASU putting itself in a successful position to have winning successes in Big 12, specifically nil-wise, environmentally-wise, and faculty-wise?
Well, so ASU now being in the Big 12, so within the Big 12, we're the big university. We have the most academic All-Americans of any team in the conference. I think we have the most national championships of any team in the conference. A couple of us have about $1 billion of research a year. That's Arizona and Arizona State. So very, very large compared to the other institutions. We have the largest student body, probably the most diverse student body, probably the largest number of students from international locations and all 50 states and so forth and so on. And we also, I think, have the largest number of teams or sports. And so that means that the position that we're taking is we want to be the best of the best in everything that we're doing. We need to make sure that we can do that or we shouldn't be doing it. And that means then that our approach is going to be to have high academic performance for our athletes and we've redesigned athletics just within the last 6 months to be able to deliver that. We have restructured athletics now to be no longer an auxiliary enterprise within the university, but to be a part of the university, which will give them advantage in facilities and student support and so forth and so on. So we put all of that in. Hired a new athletic director, Graham Rossini, built a new structure where Dr. Jim Rund is also working as a part of helping athletics to be successful by acting as the executive vice chairman of Sun Devil Sports, where I'm working as the chairman of that. That means we're devoting more energy of more senior officers of the university to the success of athletics. I mean, at the end of the day, like was demonstrated against the team from Starkville, Mississippi, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, you have to win the game. And the game lasts all 4 quarters. So you're ahead 30-3, and then you win 30-23. Okay. And so it was a very good team. Mississippi State was a good team. Our team's a very good team. So I mean, at the end of the day, and then why do teams win? If you talk to our football players, they win because of the students. They are attached to the student fans that are in the south end zone during the game. I think the 2 largest student body representations that we've had, is this right, Jim, since the stadium was renovated, have been the last 2 games. I mean, it's been a fantastic showing of the students, fantastically engaged. And if you see when the football team comes and runs down the field, they run to the students. And then after the game, they run to the students. And I've talked to the football players, and this is what drives them. They feel connected to the other students, and they feel that the students are their fans and their supporters and their classmates. And so, you know, the way for us to be successful is to get people to show up to the women's basketball games, to get people to show up to the hockey games and the football games and the wrestling matches and so forth, and to make those kinds of things happen. And because people, you know, if you're wrestling, you know, you want to see there's somebody supporting what you're doing, since you're working out, you know, 4 to 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. I kid you not. You know, you're doing that not just for yourself, you're doing that for your school, you're doing that for your classmates. And so that's one of the paths to success. And so we're very excited about being in the Big 12. I think there's a lot of opportunities for us in the Big 12. The teams are kind of spread out, you know, Orlando, Cincinnati, Morgantown, and then the massive metropolises of Manhattan, Kansas, Stillwater, Oklahoma, Ames, Iowa. I lived there for many years. I was an athlete there at that particular school, which did beat Iowa on the last play of the game on Saturday, which is always, I think they canceled classes for the rest of the semester. And so I think being in the Big 12 is going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. So the next question has been asked by several students. There's no resource center for coalitions or support for coalition publicity, aside from the outdated websites and the MCOE spaces, which is poorly advertised. When are you going to let us have a queer student resource center?
I'm not sure exactly what that means, but you know, in terms of, we don't have separate resource centers for groups. We have the student pavilion on the Tempe campus, and so you know, I'd love to hear, you know, what the queer student group needs to feel that they're able to communicate broadly or successfully. We're not building separate spaces for separate groups. We're not building separate buildings for separate groups. We're not building separate anything. We have facilities. And so if there's facilities that are needed, let's get these facilities and let's get them set up. I'm going to ask Dr. Vogel to come up and maybe comment on that, the Vice President for Student Services. And so
I think you said it. If there are recommendations or things that need to be done, I heard one in that question, which is to update websites and materials and resources. Certainly something that we will put top of the list to make sure students know where to go for resources and support. I also heard the reference to the multicultural communities of excellence. And so we will make sure that you know where to find those at each location. That is a great place to go and find space and attend events and become part of that community.
students should be able to easily find a pathway to find people that they want to learn from, be with, connect to, advance their student life with, advance their personal life with. And I don't want to have any barriers to anything like that, but we're not going to be building separate spaces. That's what I can say. So, but we're going to have people get the spaces that they need to advance the programs. And so if that coalition group, you know, has special needs that they're not articulating, let's hear those, but it's not going to be a separate space.
Got it. Thank you. The next question we received live from an undergraduate student in ASU Online. This message is directed towards President Crow. In your fall 2024 student welcome video, you mentioned a catchphrase that went something like, seize every opportunity at ASU. Were you implying that students were not taking advantage of enough opportunities, or did you mean something else entirely?
I'm 100% certain that very few students seize all of their opportunities because it's hard for them to know exactly where they are in time and space. I know that from my own life experience and the life experience of my siblings and the life experience of my spouse and the life experience of my children and the life experience of my grandchildren. And that is, it is often the case that people cannot see where they are and find a way to take advantage of all the things that they presently have. They think that there's something out there that they're missing, or they think that there's something out there that they're being deprived of, or what have you. And so when I say something like that, it's very much, right now as a student at ASU, online or on campus, you have access to one of the 40 greatest libraries ever built. You have access to hundreds of people that work in the library, just as an example, reference librarians, specialty librarians. You have access to learning tools, learning assistance tools. You have access to robots that can help you teach calculus. You have access to faculty members. You have access to guidance counselors, mental health counselors, career counselors, medical advisors. You have access to all of this. And lots of people, they don't realize that. So, if you've got anxiety and anxiety is affecting your functionality and you're not able to do the things that you want to do because you wake up mortified with your anxiety, we have the resources to help you. And you should take this moment to get that help, because you'd be surprised that there's people out there that know how to deal with anxiety. They know how to help people with anxiety. They know how to help people through verbal therapy. They know how to help people through the right kinds of physicians that you can link up with. They know how to do this. So my dad, rest his soul, was this big, burly, tough, rough Navy sailor who lived all over the world. He had unbelievable anxiety. He would have anxiety attacks. He would have all these kinds of things. So eventually we took this big old burly guy and we found him the right help that he needed. And he got a little thing that helped him with some chemical imbalance, and he got a little help with understanding a little bit more about his some things that happened to him when he was a child, and I mean, like eons ago, like 100 years ago, no lie. And so all these things, and so his anxiety was brought to a point where he felt so much freer to live the life that he wanted to live, and all he had to do was raise his hand and get some help. Now, all any of you have to do, this is true for staff also, but for students, just raise your hand and just say, I wake up every morning and I want to puke because I feel so anxious, or I feel so anxious. I want to talk to people, but I can't talk to them. And I just don't know what to do. Well, then raise your hand, get some help. Or if you're struggling in a class, there's all these people. This is what I mean by taking advantage. There's all these people that they'd rather go down with the ship. Like, really? You didn't have to, there were life jackets on the rack. You didn't put them on and you went down with the ship. What a waste. So you got an F in a math class when you didn't need to. Or E, or whatever you call it. And so my point there is on the expansive creative side, it's an unlimited environment. You should take full advantage of it. You should live like there's no tomorrow, consuming everything you can possibly consume from the university. You want to get a job, you're interested in going into radio or media, get a job in the university working on radio or media. Get a job on supporting someone that's working in that. We have 17,000 students that work for the university for a check. They get a check from the university for work that they do. And I just think people don't take full advantage of that. You'd like to go overseas on a semester abroad and you don't have any money. Okay. Did you ask anybody about the scholarships that we have? Did you ask anybody about how you could earn enough money to earn your way in? Did you ask anybody about maybe you could be staff or something on one of these trips? So take full advantage.
Absolutely. The next question we received live from a Polytechnic student. With the Arizona State University collaboration with OpenAI, how will the ASU undergraduate degrees be changed or enhanced with the use of AI?
Well, so what we're looking for with AI, the best way for me to describe this is how I use it. So I have thousands and thousands of questions that I've asked the two AI systems that are on my iPhone and my iPad, thousands and thousands of questions. And what I find, this is the funniest thing, like for an old geezer like me, so I am at the highest level of learning that I have ever experienced in my entire life. Deepest, broadest, fastest, most integrated ever in my entire life. And one of the tools that I'm using is to ask questions. So we're building an AI tool, for instance, for the new virtual reality alien zoo element that we have in 3 biology courses that we have. And the AI system I saw worked up the other day and how it would work. So you're in the class and they built an AI system that isn't open to just all the knowledge that's out there, where you get hallucinations and all kinds of other things. Just look up hallucinations in AI and you'll know that what it means. It sometimes gives you like answers that are completely nuts. And so you know it's nuts when you read it. And so you know it's no good. And so this, however, is narrower. And so you can be in that class, shrunk down as an avatar, thinking about the messenger ribonucleic acid virus that you're looking at. You can ask the following questions. Why are they spherical? What is their chemical structure? What's their chemical origin? What's their evolutionary origin? Why do they have spikes? What's the chemistry on the end of the spikes? What are the spikes for? I asked all these questions. And I got derivative answers. I mean, unbelievable answers. I mean, it was really quite remarkable. I've been lately doing things where people will be talking in a meeting and I'll ask my AI system to answer the question that I asked them. I get really good answers on the AI, often better than the person can give me. Because the person is weighing all kinds of things. They have an emotional response, they have a time constraint, they have a processing constraint. And so the AI system doesn't have a processing constraint, it doesn't have a time constraint, and it has no emotions. And so it gives me the answer that I actually want. And so what we're looking to do is to use these AI systems to enhance your individual learning. That's all we're doing. That's all we're setting things up for.
Thank you. The next question is from a Polytechnic student. What are the plans with South Desert Village at the Polytechnic campus?
So what are the plans for what?
South Desert Village.
Oh, South Desert Village? I don't know, like probably to blow it up, but and so there are aspects of the campus and facilities that on the campus that are from the old Air Force Base that are they're not conducive to repair. And so these will be properties. I mean, some will be, but these will be places where new things will be built ultimately. And so it costs money to tear things down. So we're tearing some things down now. Believe it or not, tearing things down costs millions and millions of dollars. So when I ask that things be torn down, people say to me, well, wouldn't it be better just to leave it up until we build something here? And I said, but it's hideous. And they say, well, who cares? And I say, well, I care. We go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So you're seeing some things being torn down now because they're tremendous eyesores and not reflective of who we are or what we are. And so that thing, I don't know the exact plans for that, but I wouldn't count on that being around in its present form.
Thank you. The next question is from an undergraduate student. Are there any more plans to expand the West Valley campus?
There are plans to expand every campus. And so on the West Valley campus, we just opened 2 new buildings, a new residence hall and a new academic building. And we already know we're already short on residence halls on the West Valley campus. We already know that we're short on academic buildings, so we've got to get those planning cycles accelerated out there. You know, it is the case that the West Valley campus has been typically underutilized. So there's also a lot of additional utilization of the space that we have that we've got to find ways to make that happen. And that would be true for everything but residence halls.
Thank you. So this is the last question we will be answering live. This was asked from Zoom Live. What's the most important thing you want students to take away after they graduate from ASU?
What is the most important thing I want students to take away after they graduate from ASU? And I think that it's probably, this is really hard, and some of you will have to go think about this, but most people don't understand how they got to where they're sitting. Their parents, their family, their grandparents, the generations before you, the farms that were built, the plows that were run, the work that was done, the oceans that were crossed, the sharecropper farms that were worked, you know, all of the things that were done to get to you. And then somehow you, as an ASU student, you may not understand this, you're among, just even by being an ASU student, the most privileged human beings that are on the planet Earth today. You are attending a world-class, state-of-the-art, 21st century research university in an open and free democracy. And you are able to basically do whatever you want, study whatever you want across hundreds of different subjects. You are able to create whatever you want. You're able to say whatever you want. You're able to build your life path on whatever trajectory you want it to go. And you're doing it in a world that used to be male-dominated, white male-dominated. You know, it used to be smaller access, smaller groups. Not anymore. Majority of the students are women. Half the students are from non-white backgrounds. Tens of thousands of the students are from families with little or no money. So somehow you got here, and you don't really grasp everything that got into this. And so if you're on a Pell Grant, your fellow neighbors give you $7,000 a year, up to $7,000 a year, give or take. $28,000. Your neighbors just give it to you. So you can go to college. What college? Any college you want to go to. Whoever heard of something like that? They're going to give you $28,000. Then if you want to borrow money to go to medical school, or borrow money to go to graduate school, or borrow money to pay your bills because you're not working, or whatever you want to borrow money for, they give you access to a loan at an interest rate that's a fraction of the interest rate with no credit. You have no credit as a student. You have no credit rating. No one would ever lend you any money. Most of you can't even get a credit card except through your parents. But they'll give you money to go to college, and they'll lend that money to you. You're in a privileged, unbelievably privileged position. Then, oh, you need a place to live? You need a job while you're going to campus? You need money to help you pay for your food? All in. So the single most important thing is duty. What are you going to do that's going to help the democracy to be more successful, help the society to be more successful, help the society to continue to advance? And if you say, well, you know, I don't want to do that. I just want to become a billionaire entrepreneur. I'm like, okay, just so long as you give more than half of it back to people, like all the ultra rich people that have a conscience have decided to do. Not all of them have done that, but many of them have signed up for the pledge, and they're all giving away, you know, half their money. Okay. And so duty, those people have a sense of duty. You all need to have a sense of duty as a student, because you didn't get here by yourself. You're here as an unbelievable statement of privilege in my view. And so that would be the thing that I would say.
Thank you. Since it seems we have 2 more minutes, we would love to squeeze in one last question and utilize, yeah, 100% of your time. Uh, this last question we received live from Zoom. What is ASU doing to assist international professional employees to get and maintain their work visa in their current positions instead of having them transfer out?
Well, that's a very technical question there. And so what we're trying to do is, what do you mean transfer out?
I'm not really sure of,
Oh.
yeah.
So we're helping people to get jobs. We're helping people to get their visas for jobs, where it's mostly you got to get the job to get the OPT adjustment to your visa. You've got all that going on. And so we're doing everything that we can. And we have thousands and thousands of students that are taking advantage of it. And so often what will happen to me is like a student will come up to me and they'll say, you know, I'm in trouble. I didn't do that. I don't know how to, I don't have a pathway to a job or so. Well, have you talked to anybody in career counseling? No. Have you been to the placement office? No. Have you built your resume? No. Have you applied for any jobs? No. You're worried? Yes. So it's about action and help. Take action, get help. Take action, get help. And so there's nothing that stands in the way from an international student gaining employment in the United States. Believe it or not, there is a labor shortage for college graduates. How do I know there's a labor shortage for college graduates? Unemployment for college graduates in the United States is under 2%. Unemployment in the United States for college graduates is under 2%. Therefore, there is a labor shortage. That's how this works. And so we cannot produce enough college graduates for the jobs that are needed. Don't pay attention to all this malarkey that's in the paper that college degrees aren't worth anything. College degrees from worthless colleges are not worth anything. People go to some colleges that are worthless, and then their college degrees aren't worth anything. That's unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate. This isn't one of those colleges. This is a college whose college graduates and their degrees have degrees that are worth the highest level attainable for undergraduates. I was talking to this kid the other day. He already had an offer. He's graduating at the end of this year. Engineering student. I think he told me his salary was $150, but he had turned down a job for $500K. I wasn't sure if that was quite accurate, but I knew the 150 was accurate. And so our degrees are worth a lot. There's no one being kept from any jobs. There's a shortage of workers. People just need to basically take action, get help. Take action, get help. So people will say, I applied for 30 jobs and no one responded to me. Okay. 30. Why not 300? Why not, putting yourself on Indeed or one of the other search engines or this or this or this, getting yourself out there? Did you go to any job fairs? There's job fairs here? Yeah, there's job fairs. You didn't go to them. You need to go to the job fairs. You need to get yourself out there. You need to take multiple angles. You need to be confident. Action, help, action, help.
Thank you so much, President Crow. To any student whose question was not answered here live, we are forwarding all the questions to the proper places at the university so that they can be answered ASAP. And you should receive an answer very soon. Thank you for coming today. Please,
ASAP is an acronym.
as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Sorry. Please join us for the next student forum with President Crow on December 4th at 11 a.m. At the downtown Phoenix campus. Have a wonderful day and go Devils.
Thank you.